I don't actually know what time it is. It's afternoon, I think, sometimes. So good afternoon, WTU. I hope you're all well. I hope you're keeping well. It's a nice day, actually. We're all good, high pressure, plenty of sun. So for those that helps, I hope you're enjoying it. And for those that don't like the heat and the sun, I feel really sorry for you, because this is like such welcome relief. So yeah, just a very quick update. You might remember last week I passed over to Robert Jappy, the solicitor who's representing WTU, what I've compiled so far. It's about a 45-page document with, I think, 43 sources of evidence so far, with much discussion. So it comes in about 9,000 words. So that's the document that Claire Sperry has been helping me develop. She comes into my machine, remote desktop access, and does all the typing and button bashing for me, which is great help. And also not just button bashing, just talking and considering things as well. So she's a great help, a lot more than just button bashing. I often wonder what we could achieve if we had like a full suite of people with resources all doing this, rather than just me and Claire and other people like us doing the best we can with what we've got available. So yeah, it'd be quite interesting, but we're doing what we can. So Robert was very impressed with what I've submitted so far. You can see we put a lot of time and effort into it. He's asked me to complete this document that we've begun, and because I've been trained to write for academic purposes, he will rewrite the document for legal purposes, so it's in the right format for legal purposes. So I've got to finish that with Claire. I'm very happy to say that the bulk is done, actually. We've got virtually all of our evidence sources that we were hoping to bring in. We can't put them all in there because there's mountains of them, so we're having to try and find some of the most compelling bits of research for the various areas that we wish to highlight and discuss. And then obviously there's more to go on if needed. So it's not like we have a load more to do. That document is quite clear to finished. Most of it's just formatting contents, making sure all the pages in the right places and all that sort of stuff. In process of that, we have the 670-yard survey submissions that I still need to process through. We do have a summary, but the summary is still several hundred pages long. So I need to condense it even more for the barrister, because, well, the barrister's money is still on the clock. And it costs a lot, so we don't have bulk of funds, so we're trying to keep it costs down without them adding to cost in order just to read what we put to them. I don't think Robert expected me to gather as much information as I have, but I think it all needs documenting. We'll see. Also, the testimonials, we are asking for people to make their statement of truth that we will use as evidence for the effect that cannabis has on their life, the impact of the government's war on cannabis and its prohibition. So I'm actually not responding to the comments at first, because if I do, I'll forget everything. So I'm going to just say what I've got to say, then I'll read through the comments. Forgive me if I don't seem to be replying to you. So I need to get all the testimonials. The more of those we have, the better, I believe. We've got nearly 6,000 people in our community group here. If we had nearly 6,000 statements of evidence about the effect of cannabis, its prohibition, the war on cannabis on our lives, that would be profound. So we've got first-hand evidence there as well, you see. So if now someone here has just asked me to include in the evidence, I was going to say, if you feel there's bits of evidence that you feel should be included, this would be an ideal post to stick it in on. It's not to say it will definitely be included. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm the most know-it-all person that knows what should be in the case, and I'm definitely open for more information, because there is so much more out there. It's really difficult to know what to pick. So yeah, please share information. My email is philmonk@wtuhq.org. You can email links to me there or into the Facebook group here. So that is still happening now. Basically, my life's ruled by my condition and my pain and my disability, as many of you already know, and same also for Claire. So it goes down to when we are fit and able to do these things. So I can't put a time scale on it, unfortunately. I'm hoping within the next 2 months, really, I would very much. And that has just been extremely generous to allow for the fact that I only have 2 days a week that I'm able to dedicate to the campaign now, because I have my children. And now that they're visiting their mum on a regular basis, it actually allows me to dedicate a couple of days a week to the campaign. So then it goes down to other people's availability according to when those 2-3 days happen to be. So in that case, I don't anticipate it to be weeks. I do think it might be another couple of months. But then once that happened, we're hoping the barrister then will come forward and agree with everything we've said and say there is an incompatibility in the law, and make our declaration of incompatibility, to which the government must respond. And depending upon their response, yay or nay, positive or negative, will determine whether we have to proceed with legal action. So at that point, if the barrister rules back in our favour positively, which we obviously hope he will, we will have to start fundraising for the legal fees all over again, because that will be opening to a new level. So, but at the moment that's all a few steps off. So the main thing will be in the next couple of months is to focus on getting everything now finished to the barrister, so that, well, to Robert, for him to remodel, then to the barrister, for the barrister to consider, to finish their advice and then move forward. What month are we in? August, so September, October. So hopefully October time that might be then. Again, I can't make a promise on this. That's just a rough time scale that this not very able person hopes they're able to do it in. If anything changes that improves that, I will obviously let you know. If there's any solutions that come up, if we have able typists, so Claire Sperry's background used to be a typist, used to take dictated notes from people, so she was actually trained in dictating basically. Other people could perhaps facilitate if needed, so it's not just a burden all upon one. The more people involved, I feel, the quicker it will move forward. In the meantime, I'm also receiving messages, not quite daily but very frequently, of people who have been persecuted by this law, whether it's for driving, cultivation, possession, whatever. And now, to me, it's the same as, you're walking past someone who's hanging off a cliff and you've got a bit of rope. Do you chuck them over the rope in the hope that it might be something to help them, stop them from falling to their death? Yes, you do, in my opinion. And you hold on to that fucking rope as long as it takes until something gives, one way or the other. So there's quite a few people that I'm trying my best to help with their cases. I'm basically taking the view is, that could be me, and I could easily be in their shoes. It's by the grace of God or miracle or whatever you believe in that I am not, so therefore I'd like to support them as though it was my case and fight it with them as though it was my case, because that could set a precedent that might stop me and anyone else like me ever being arrested like they have been. So in some ways it might seem like I'm entirely selfless, and in some ways I'm being completely selfish, because I just want the law changed. I don't entirely care how, it just needs to be changed quite urgently because of the harm it's causing. So I think it might be half a dozen to 10 people, I think, that I'm going to have to start record keeping for this aspect, because again it was not an aspect of things that I ever imagined taking on. I was just writing letters to a solicitor to get them to make a case for us. If you've been with WTU from the very beginning, you'll remember that this all started from me wanting to get a human rights solicitor for my human right to cannabis, and then me thinking, hold on, it's not just my human right to cannabis, it's everyone's human right to cannabis, and inviting other people to undersign to my letter and making it our case of we the undersigned. And we the undersigned has grown from that original thought and concept to do so many more things that, well, it's been very organic, and we've just continued to grow as the community requires, really, according to what the community needs. So it's been a very interesting, tiring, demanding journey, and we're in it to the long haul. I'm going to work my nuts off, get this finished for Robert, get it all over to him to get to the barrister and make this declaration, and hopefully get this fucking law changed, because it's not just. On that basis, I think I've mentioned everything I was going to mention in this update. I do struggle to remember things. Cannabis does affect your memory, ladies and gentlemen, which is why it's great for PTSD. Right, so what I would really ask for you to do in the meantime, actually, is add your voice. Go to the WTU website, www.wtuhq.org, and if you look for the testimonials page, that's a chance for you to add your voice. This is a people's movement, so let's get behind it, people. It's a chance to add your voice to the campaign, and the intention is that these will be taken as evidence into court. Evidence, the government say this is a harmful Schedule 1 drug, and we must prosecute you to protect you from it, right? That's what the government's saying, in short. thereabouts, and we're trying to say, hold on a minute, you've got no right to smash into my home and destroy my right to a private life. I'm not harming anybody, and in actual fact, cannabis isn't a harmful Schedule 1 drug, and it doesn't warrant Class B sentencing, so we need to have a big re-evaluation of the whole scenario. So that, it's quite a bold undertaking, and we're going for the whole broad spectrum of cannabis prohibition, not this mythical medical cannabis that doesn't exist. Yeah, it does not exist. You go and pay £1,000 if you wish, be ripped off. People do that for the protection from prosecution. I was able to have a massage today, so I can lift my arms for the first time in a very long time. Why is that? Why? Because the £50 for that massage wasn't spent on £50 of street cannabis, unlicensed cannabis, which is what I was having to do previously. Every 2 days, £50 on cannabis to manage my pain. But I decided to invest in medical cannabis. Yeah, like all these officials are doing, all these government people and stuff like that. So I got myself a tent and some lights and some seeds and some pots, and now I don't have to spend £50 every 2 days. How good is that? That means I can have a massage to relieve the physical problems of my life. I can actually pay for a cleaner to come and clean my house because I couldn't keep it clean myself, and my pip is now able to go on other things to improve my life other than cannabis. So yeah, invest in the medical cannabis industry. It doesn't exist. Invest in this monopoly of the therapeutic capacity of cannabis. That exists. And it kind of gets my knickers in a twist, because no one should be exploited. No one should have to pay £1,000 a month just to be protected from some farcical prosecution that isn't even founded on science or evidence. So on that basis, I would then ask you to share the group, share the website, share your story, and maybe even consider purchasing this book that has been put together by Alan Buffrey. Now, he's a veteran campaigner. He's been campaigning longer than I've been breathing. He's now put together his second book, well, not his second book, the second book of this nature, Words of Weed and Wisdom, in which he's collected the writings of himself, Claire O'Donnell, Jackie Malkin, Jezza Austin, Mars Bilters, Melissa Duadaughter, forgive me if I pronounced that incorrectly, Phil Monk, Rocky van der Benderscum, Ryan Keefe, Sarah Dugan and Steve Cook. So these are the thoughts, the writings, the musings, the artwork of various activist campaigners from over the centuries, not just as recent as myself. So I'm going to take the liberty just to do a bit of a shameless plug, because Alan has set these at £10 and a penny, so it's free postage, and it's £3.36, I think, would be the profit from every book will actually go to the WTU legal funds. So it's a chance for you to purchase a piece of WTU prohibition history, because if we are successful we will be making history, and also it's a chance for you to support to the campaign. So I would encourage you, and apart from that, it's a chance to be mildly entertained by some musings. So I'd encourage you to consider visiting the Amazon website, which is the most effective source for self-published authors. So I am going to take the liberty of just reading out one of my poems. It's not something I often do. I don't count myself as a poet. I just sometimes write in rhythm and verse. This actual poem is to do with current events. Who knows? What is not and what is... Try and get it right from the beginning, shall I? What is what and what is not? Simple truth we simply haven't got. Altogether I don't trust the powers that be. Completely over our lives they wish to foresee. For care or for profit time will reveal just how much was for the people's health or political zeal, or corporate stealth with primary motives to increase their wealth. Control our lives behind our backs, sinister forces contrive. Friends and family breaking apart, no one knows what's fact or fiction, such is the level of misinformation, as we have all been fed lies from the start. So far from the truth the government depart, causing much fear and deliberation, resulting in fallouts and social division, when now is the time for community clout, to rally together in time of need, whilst keeping your distance at government heed. Meanwhile I remain at home, or I did, keeping in contact through my phone until signs of safety return. Keep well, my friends, and your spirits high. Don't give up the fight, nor resign to sigh. If we're lucky, perhaps the end is nigh, and usual life will resume. Meanwhile, keep well, love, light and peace. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it made me feel better just writing it, which is the only reason why I write these things. So there are other people's writings in there. Miracles and Lies, that looks nice and short. Don't know who this is by. I think it will be from Adam Buffrey. Miracles and Lies. Right, I'd like to tell you who the author is before I go reading it out. Miracles and Lies was by Rocky van der Bendescombe. Is it any wonder that people get so lyrical when they speak out loud about this medical miracle? Recreational, industrial, or even sacramental, to make that all illegal is nothing short of mental. Governments come and governments go, but this is a fact everyone should know. While most cannabis remains at Schedule 1, that they leave it that way is not just dumb, but maybe something a lot more sinister. Just look at the husband of our former drugs minister, maintaining a law that's criminally insane, at the same time making personal gain. It's time that this ended and they freed the weed and left me alone to grow my seed. And that, in essence, is the WTU campaign all over, isn't it? Is for the poor people of the land to be able to grow their own cannabis for self-sufficiency and sustainability from the extortionate pharmaceutical market and the as-yet unlicensed and uncontrolled cannabis market. You know, for everyone to have the right to grow their own seed. Now, seeing as this is potentially the most nutritious herb on the planet, with the perfect ratios of omegas in 3, 6 and 9s for human absorption, it just makes you wonder, it isn't this dangerous drug after all. It's actually a really nutritious herb, and they've denied it from us whilst capitalising. So, right, I've done my update. I'm going to have a quick scroll through now and just see if I've had any questions or any things that I've just been like rudely ignoring while I've been rambling on. Thank you all for listening, by the way. Very nice of you just to tune in and take a moment of your time to join me. Just looking for questions here. I hope you're all well. That's great. So someone's asking me to add evidence. Brilliant. I'll have a look, bring it in, and I've no doubt actually. It's from a good friend of mine, Richard Carnell. Now, I rate your knowledge as it happens. Not saying I don't rate others, that sounds a bit wrong, but you stand out. And someone said to me that CBD from hemp is different to CBD from cannabis. Now, I said hemp is cannabis, and CBD is CBD. So I'd be very interested to know, does CBD from low THC cannabis plants, is it any different to CBD from high THC cannabis plants? That's the difference between hemp and cannabis, of course. So I'm going to have a look at those bits of interest. That'd be really interesting. No need for that one. No questions? Oh, wow. That's dead easy. I love it when I get no questions. Any questions, please? Come on, fire a question. Yeah, someone says there, hello mate, looking fit and healthy there. Looks can be very deceiving. You should see me first thing in the morning. This is what, like 5 or 6 blunts. I smoke gram blunts of cannabis nowadays, and it keeps me smiling, it keeps me moving, it keeps me active, it keeps me motivated. Maybe that's why I look so healthy, in fact. And I've cut tobacco out of my life as well. I made a post and it had tobacco in it, and you know, those born again tobacco free people got all on their high horses and started nagging me about, oh, you should take the tobacco out of that joint. So I did. I just listened to them, in fact, and just took the tobacco out and carried on rolling without tobacco. And I think that's maybe 2 or 3 months now, I can't even remember. And I suppose that's because I invested in cannabis rather than being extorted by the pharmaceutical industry. Sorry. Yes, maybe I do look well. Thank you very much for that one. I would also like to make you aware, while it just crosses my mind, we've had an independent business, small company, Help Me Hemp, who they are touting the benefits of hemp. A great little website, lots of information. They support WTU. I met them whilst I was campaigning at the CBD Expo as it happened. So this is the positive outcome from all that punishment and torture. They have now produced a T-shirt to go with Words of Weed and Wisdom. Ryan Keefe is also one of the authors, who is the founder of Help Me Hemp. So there's also, you know, you've got the book, you can go over there and get the T-shirt, and all proceeds from the T-shirt is also donating to the WTU Legal Fund. So all I can say is, imagine if we had, 100 or 1,000 little businesses doing something similar. We could actually fund this grassroots movement by the people, for the people, with the people, with quite relative ease, in fact. If we all just believe in it. So on that note, I'm going to go and get busy. I've got letters to write for people who are meeting police tomorrow and trying to make a challenge and an argument of defence for them. So on that note, go and enjoy the weather, have fun, lots of love, keep your spirits high, keep smiling, keep your anandamide flowing. sow your seeds. Take care, folks. Lot to live.